Here we go. Hey there, outliers. Niiamah Shang here. And thank you so very much for letting us be a part of your journey. Here we go indeed, because today we have brought together five extraordinary trailblazers to be a part of this roundtable and share their experiences that keep them continuing to level up in both their thinking and their application. And I'm very excited to see how they navigate uncertainty, how they navigate what's coming up for them, and how they do it in a way that's authentic while also profitable. So let's get to know the members of this roundtable here. Cliff, let's start with you. Would you mind sharing more about you and the game that you're currently playing?
Yeah, so my name's Cliff Fisher. I'm a chiropractor. Currently, we have 7 clinics. We have about 40 team members, and we have a coaching company called Dream Leader Institute that is the backbone of our system. And so we take that out and we work with different companies like Taco Bell, Chick-fil-A, the Pentagon. And so we use our system, and that's what's driven our clinics to have the success that they've had. My road was a rocky road, as I imagine everybody in this room is.
Ooh, I like that there. This is the feels real. Cliff, I'm glad that you're here. Thanks. I'm excited to see how we play. Let's come to Polish Peter. Let us know more
So,
about you and the game you play.
yeah, man, thank you for having me. So, my name is Polish Peter. I'm a coach for both for life and business. Most people go and start their businesses to be able to live the life that they want, but what ends up happening, the business takes over. So, my whole game that I'm playing is to transform people into the people that are truly meant to be the authentic self, because most of us are doing it from the place of kind of brokenness. And I don't believe people are broken. So, I help people build their businesses that supports their life. And in fact, right now I have a book coming out that's going to help them support in that. So that's the game I'm playing today, man.
Oof, yes, this feels fun. I could see like when you said that you brought it in here, I felt like the energy of the group just went up like two or three notches. So thanks so much for being here. All right.
Love it.
Awesome.
And cookies and cream is my game, dude. Cookies and cream on the ice cream.
Yes. So outliers. When before we hit record, I usually ask the different people here if they could be any dessert, what dessert they would be. And so it's good to know. It's good to know that that's your Peter. Thank you. Ursula, let's go to you. What tell us about you and the game you're playing.
I'm Ursula Alchemy. Thank you for having me. So, the game that I usually play is guiding people to live more in touch with their own soul. And life has thrown me recently a bunch of challenges where I'm actually doing that myself. So, I'm currently doing the delicate dance between a tremendous amount of simultaneous endings and beginnings. And I'm just sort of right now twirling in my own beginning of my next new chapter. So I usually do that with astrology as the primary tool. And then I pull in healing arts and intuitive arts into my practice and my one-on-one and group work with people.
Ursula, I'm really glad that you're here. And what I really appreciate right now, even about hearing this, is like you're in the process of recreation and rebecoming. And I'm really excited to be in that space. I'm glad we have that kind of representation here in this roundtable. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anka, let's get to know you a little more. Tell us more about you and the game you're playing.
Well, I will continue the theme of reinvention and pivots. So I've been known as the tech monster whisperer for experts who want to, increase their reach and impact online and get their expertise to more people without having to stumble through the tech jungle. And at the same time, a couple of years ago, I started a passion project because, as you can tell, I love dogs. If you have the video, I started a newsletter initially, then a podcast called Soul Touched by Dogs. And it was literally to speak from one dog lover to another to really appreciate the wisdom that dogs bring and all the lessons they can teach us and the respect and the love that they deserve and the care they deserve and don't always get. And in the process of that, I realized that the dog professionals I was interviewing were actually perfect clients for me. So it's literally turned into a new iteration of my business to really narrow into that market, that space of dog professionals. And I'm super pumped about it because, if it was for me, every dog had a loving home, and to support the people, to help people with their dogs is like, makes my heart sing. So I can bring everything I have to the table to help in that leveraged kind of way rather than, one dog at a time. So this is another new iteration for me, and I'm like super excited about it.
I'm glad to hear. I'm glad that things keep developing for you and that you lean into it fully there. Thanks for being here, Anke. And Leah, would love to get to know you. Let us know more about you and the game you're playing.
I'm going to have to go at the same with Ursula and Anke, that the fact that I'm going over some sort of reevaluation of life. It's been a tough couple of years in business and in life. I ended up having to have an operation in February that took me off my feet, and it gave me time to think and reevaluate what I was doing. Because as well as running my business supporting female business owners, I'm also a mom. My kids are like 5 and 8. I'm also supporting other accountants to become accountants. So I'm doing tutoring, and I've recently started a non-profit which is supporting the local community around me around financial education and literacy, because over here where I live in the UK, it's not taught in schools. So there's so many people in going out into the world that have no idea how money works. And I'm on a one-woman mission to make sure every single person in my community knows how money works. So yeah, I'm at the start of a life-changing transformation at the moment, so I'm really excited about it.
I'm deeply appreciative to all of you. And I think one of the things that I want to capture in just even this space here is like with us on this journey, I feel like reinvention shows up a lot, but also like leveling up and being able to. I have a mentor. His name's Rich Lippin, and he often say, transcend and include. It's like as you are continuing to level up into whatever is next, it isn't about leaving everything you've left behind, but instead it's about bringing it with you. And so since reinvention, like reevaluation and such are in this space here, I'd love to like start off with us focusing a bit on like your outlier, right? And how you as an individual have continued to navigate your journey in both life and business. We'll get to the edge part in a bit, but let's start with the outlier. I want to get a sense to see what are the unique ways that you go about doing things and continuing from there. So with that in mind, I'm going to bring in the element of the reinvention, the reevaluation, and the growth component of it. And what I'm curious about is when you go through these experiences of leveling up yourself, how do you like what is the thing that you have found that no matter what you do keeps coming along with you for the ride? Let's put it that way. Right. No matter what I do, I'm always in conversation, no matter how it looks. It always like that's like my simple silver streamline. So I'm curious about like what keeps coming with you through every single iteration or evolution of you, and how do you actually actively bring it into your business and the work that you do right now? All right. Let me toss that question out to you all. Would anyone like to get us started on it? And as you're thinking about this, my ask is, especially for this first one, if you wouldn't mind just restating your name so that any listener can associate your voice and your name together.
I can go, Ursula. So the thing that specifically I continually bring with me are the things that I've realized are my natural gifts. So the whole process, I've been in, so I made a huge life, I guess, diversion, redirection to true path back in pretty much started 2015 and then really started in 2017. And those are the two processes of letting my intuition come back online and then also astrology kind of coming back to me. It's been more like a remembering for me than it has been a learning process, even though that was definitely part of my training. I was in a 1-year intensive in my studies in an apprenticeship. And also with the aromatherapy piece, it all kind of came together at the same time, very organically and naturally and very spiritually guided. So I'm always falling back on that, just inner voice, inner knowing of getting back in touch with my true compass, my true north, no matter what happens. That sort of blows me off path, just to come back to myself, come back to the fact that I am a little bit different in the way that I've come on this, true life path at this point, but this is where I'm supposed to be. I know it because this is the path that lights me up. So I've done the corporate thing. I've done all that. I went to college. Like I've had a very traditional path up to this point, but that traditional, conventional path is definitely not me. So
one thing that I would add to that is in the times in my past, right, when I was looking to reinvent myself or something happened, a lot of times this happens right after something bad happens, right? Some kind of a traumatic thing happens or something happens that we didn't like it or we didn't want to happen. And now it happened. And what I've discovered in the past that what I would bring is I would bring my old past into it and start reevaluating and thinking through it and trying to figure this out. Where did it all go wrong and how do I fix myself and things like that. And also so that's the thing that I was carrying from one thing to another, right? What I've discovered over the course of this time and doing my own internal work and helping hundreds of students now and thousands of people do different events that we do is that what we're typically doing is we're trying to fix ourselves and the version of ourselves that we've learned to deal with. And we've gotten away from that true, authentic person that really was put on this earth. And what ends up happening is, I think, in those moments when we go to reinvent ourselves, the authenticity starts to pop up and it starts to fight against that thing that the world told us that we need to be. And I think if we get back to that authenticity, that get back to who we were meant to be here and looking from that perspective, like Ursula just mentioned, like I go back to this, like my truth kind of thing, right? When you start to look from that perspective, all of a sudden, whatever the world says and does, it's not as big of a deal as me stepping out and doing what I was put on this earth to do kind of a thing. So it's getting back to your true authentic self. I think that is the thing, because the world tells us we're broken. There's something wrong with you. You need to fix yourself. You know what I mean? How has that been working? It's not, right? So how about we get back to our true authenticity and figure out what that person is that was there and that's buried underneath us all, and we uncover that, man, all of a sudden things start to shift in a little different way. So that's my little input here.
I agree with you, Polish Peter. Generally, what I've found whenever I've gone on a journey of reinvention or reevaluation, it's been I've stepped too far away from my authentic self and I've gone into that people-pleasing mode. So I start doing things that are not aligned with me. And that's what essentially burns me out because I'm in pure people-pleasing mode. And it's only when I realise that I go, actually, no, this is not aligned with me. What I'm doing right now is not aligned with me and what I'm trying to achieve on this journey of life. And that's when everything shifts back. And it's crazy how many times we actually go through that. I think that what changes is every time you do it, you notice it quicker because you see the same patterns coming over and over again.
Yeah.
That's so true, isn't it? Right? I think it was
Yes.
funny how we're all nodding, right? And I'd be curious to hear everybody else's experience because I've thought about this question a lot because for years, I was beating myself up like, why can't I stick to something? You know, why do I go from translator to software developer to coach to this to that? Like, you know, it's like, why can't I just until I like dressmaker, right? But why can't I stick to something? Like, what's wrong with me? Why do I always get bored? Why do I always need something new? Until I realized that I was really only ever doing one thing. And that is, there's an idea. And then I figure out how to flesh this out, how to unpack that, how to bring that to earth. And then I make that happen in the real world. And the technique I use, well, you know, sometimes it's sewing thread and sometimes it's code and sometimes it's something else and can be writing, can be anything. But the actual individual things change, but the actual process of creation and the learning that's involved in it, like the obsessive mandatory learning that's involved in kind of exploring like a new area, that's like literally the only thing I've ever done, just apply it to different areas. And that's really, and I that's what I did when I was 5 years old. Like it was already there as a child. When I look back, what I was playing, it was that. It was like there was no other games I was interested in. And to see, I'd love to hear how many of you would recognize that constant in your life. What was that already there as a child?
Definitely for me. 100%. I'm a fixer. Find a problem and I fix it, and I always have been.
Yeah. And see, and that's the thing. I think this is what drives me nuts. I'm sorry to talk about it that way, but the world has told us that there was either something wrong with you, or you need to fix yourself, or think about this. We learned as we were growing, right, from very young age, we learn to act and be and to have beliefs in order to what? Maybe somebody likes us or loves us or we're enough or we're good enough or whatever it might be, right? And the more we keep doing this, I think we get away from what that true authentic self is. Like what I do for a living right now, uh, where I'm at right now, I will do that till I'm 99 years old and I'm crotchety, old, and I'm barely walking, and people probably want to like get away from me, but I will be doing what I'm doing because of the fact that it feels like this is my truth, kind of a thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think the more
Yes.
right? So if you get that for yourself, not in order for something, but you just look from that, this is what I love. This is me. This is that like unquestionable thing. I think you're getting back to your authenticity. And that's when it feels like you don't have to be somebody in order to do this, right? You're just being you. And when you
Yep.
start doing, I think that's when you have this, that's what I was put on this earth for, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
I would
Ursula.
talk.
Oh,
Get Ursula.
No, I was just gonna say just the box that is expected that we're expected to be in as far as like prescribed time or prescribed age and retirement and all that stuff. It doesn't fit. Like it's not that's such a construct. And then just to get back to the childhood thing, like my clue all along has been in my name. I'm named after the Big and Little Dippers. So like my eyes have always been on the skies. I've always had that natural connection, and there's always been something distracting me or pulling me back, inward when I should just be like that has always been there for me. Like that clue came to my mom before I was even born. So it's just like that whole thing too, like the secret that's in your name and just all the things from exactly like childhood and just coming back to your truest self that has been you all along. It's profound.
I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Cliff, I'm finding myself curious as to like how this conversation is playing out for you. What do you bring in?
So I got about a page of notes from what everybody was saying. I love it. And I think the thing that keeps going with me is being that overbeliever in people. I think so often we shrink to our fear rather than grow into our greatness. And so the thing that keeps going with me is just loving people unconditionally. Um, and for me, my wife was the first person who ever showed me what unconditional love looks like on this planet. And so I appreciate that. And then God always being our North Star, like we'll pray together and give it to God and surrender. And I think so often we try to, fit into this world, which is broken. And that was like one of the agreements. My wife and I are a second marriage. And one of our agreements was like, the world is broken. We don't want to fit in. So we just do our thing. And so instead of fitting in, we just do our thing. And really, we're defining success in our life versus letting the world define it. And so that's been really helpful. And so, and I think kind of like what Polish Peter, what you were talking about, like that mask, when we put that mask on, we'll attract people who are attracted to that mask versus that authentic version of you. And so when you guys talk about that, and I think the hard work is really finding clarity in what success looks like for each individual and just diving into that. So that's what I was taking away from everything, what everybody had to say.
I'll just add, boom, where it go, Cliff. I love that.
Mic drop.
Yeah, one of the things that's fun, if you're only listening to this, I recommend you also go and check out the video of this here because there's full body commitment that's taking place in this conversation, and that's what I know we're on like some really great places. So right now authenticity really seems to align in, and so I'm going to keep leaning into that a bit more, but I'm going to look at it through two different lenses. I'm going to see which one I'm going to go to first. Leah, you had talked about something I think you phrased really well. It's like but while you're going through these transformations, while you're going through life, you start getting better at recognizing the patterns, and your awareness comes up so that you're able to see what's happening earlier. Right.
Yeah.
I actually want to just like take some time to explore this, and outliers, trailblazers, listening. I want you to do the same, like to participate with us, join the conversation with us, even though we can't hear you. What I'm curious about here is um, what's the lesson or challenge that each time you're going to another level, you find yourself having to face again? And I'll put it in this context. So, like, I'll just answer for myself. At first, I thought I was going around and around in circles, and I'm like, I figured this out. I did the deep work. I worked out myself. I got this in here. And why is it this same problem again? And eventually, I realized I wasn't going around in circles. It was actually like a spiral staircase that I was going. And Ursula, you talked about looking at the stars. I literally think about like a meteor came and dropped through this staircase. And like every time I want to get to the next level, I have to jump over this meteor, and it's almost always the same problem. So for me, my number one fear is being alone. And so I find that generally speaking, when it comes to next level elements, Cliff, you just said something about shrinking to our fear rather than growing into my greatness. Like it almost always ends up being, if I really grew to my greatness, I would be alone in some way. I'll be the only one saying this. I would have to leave the group of people I'm with. Like, will they still accept me if I 5x my business, so on and so forth. If I did the things I knew would actually 5x my business, so on and so forth. So that's the thing that keeps showing up for me. I would love to just like give space right now to see like what's your thing here without like and just kind of put into this area an opportunity for us to see it, see how we navigate it, and go from there. I think that'll be really valuable for any trailblazer listening. Anyone want to get us started on that?
I can jump straight in there because I know
Oh,
what
thank
mine
you.
is. Mine is pure self-belief issue. So I get to a certain point in my business and I'll get ready to take that leap, and then I don't believe in myself. And I start questioning whether I'm good enough, whether I'm worth it, whether people care, whether it's going to change me as a person. And it literally knocks me off and I completely withdraw. And that's when I know I'm going into that lack of self-belief, is because I completely withdraw from friends, from family, from being online, from everything. And I start closing off. And that is my sign that my self-belief is playing up. And that's when I do the work and remind myself that actually I am here on a mission. And that's it. I'm here on a mission, and that's what I'm here for. And it doesn't matter what the people think, because it's my mission. They're either with me or they're not. I don't care. It doesn't matter whether they're with me, as long as the message is hitting the people that the message is supposed to be hitting. And that's I think the hardest bit for me was when I lost the majority of my friends. Because when you kind of grow and expand, people who are not on the journey with you, they just stay in the background. So I lost a massive friendship group when I grew. And I think that was the hardest thing to kind of, because they were like friends from school, so I've been friends with them for like 30 odd years. And I just had to learn to accept it and then jump into this new level of people that I'm surrounding myself with that kept me up at this higher vibration to keep that self-belief up there. So I'll let somebody follow on from that one.
I love that. For me, I know mine as well. For me, it's this belief that success requires a lot of hard work. So there will always be a moment where it's like, ooh, if that grows, like I don't know whether I can or want to work a lot harder than I'm now. And that's always when it feels like, oh, I don't really want it. I don't really want anymore because, I still want to have a life. I want to have time to take the dogs out. And that's my signal. It's like, wait, if you feel, well, is that true? Like I really had even like the word of the year that the first time I ever played that game, my word was ease. What if it could be easy? What if that was actually not even true at all? And how can I get creative to create what I need to create without spending more time on it? So that's my recurring theme.
I think I just figured mine out. This is Ursula. That was a really good question. So I think for me, it's breaking free from my own comfort zone. And also grieving the old version or the old skin of myself that I've become ready to rebirth or grow out of. So I guess that whole chrysalis cocoon process. So I just figured that out. So thank you.
So
I'm
I would,
go
sorry,
ahead, Polish Peter. Please keep going.
I would add to that. I think from all of us, I went through some ringers in my life. The law of reinventions in 2008, like got divorced. It was one of the hardest things I've ever experienced in my entire life. Um, and what has happened over time, what I've discovered is what keeps recurring over and over, and that was our story. The story that we keep playing in our heads, or how it is, how it used to be, how it should be, who am I, and all those kinds of things, right? All this stuff put together. And that story is being driven by a lot of the fear. And, what is that fear for us? I mean, like Niiamah, you mentioned, being alone, right? That's a huge one for a lot of people, right? There's another one I've had, like being good enough. Am I good enough? Like that was the constant conversation. And that's when the people pleaser came in and all the common things, right? So am I good enough? And what I discovered throughout this entire process that I need to go and stop resisting the fear because I keep resisting the fear over and over again. Get away from me. Don't talk to me. I don't want to deal with it, whatever. When I start loving that fear, like Cliff mentioned about unconditional love. And I think people do this a lot. They'll go and love the dog unconditionally that they have or whatever, but a lot of times they don't love themselves unconditionally. What would that look like? Because then you have to actually love on that fear. And when you start loving on that fear, maybe start losing so much power over you. And I think when you start, it's not an easy process because I had to confront a lot of the quote unquote things that I didn't like about myself, right? But once you start going through the process, and then it starts to free you up to actually just be. So that's it.
It's awesome. I know my big one is like not enough and feeling like a burden. My mom got pregnant with me when she was 17. And about 10 years ago, I found out that she was sitting in an abortion clinic with me and something just spoke to her to get up and walk out. And so, and my grandma had wrote her letter saying that would be a good thing, that would give her her best life. And when my grandma came out crying, I'm like, what are you crying about? And so just to hear that, I think so often I just feel like a burden because my whole life I felt like I was a burden, like a single mom, and my mom could have had a different life. And then um so but the not enough has done a lot. Like that has been a big thing for me. And then I think the thing that now holds me back a lot is nobody can do it as good as I can. So I have a hard time giving things up. And so then I get in the way of like my team stepping into their greatness because I feel like I got to throw on the cape, do the thing, and then it shrinks them and it overburdens me. And so I'm doing that to myself. And then the thing my wife and I talk about a lot, the why has to be bigger than the why not.
I'm
You're a
deeply.
smart wife.
Amen. I way outmarried myself. If you met my wife, you'd be anybody that says I'm not a good salesperson, I just introduce them to my wife. They're like, dang.
Wonderful.
Y'all are incredible. And like I want to say firstly, thank you for allowing yourself to go here and being an example of this here, right? Because I think there's gonna be some opportunities for people who haven't given themselves the chance to think through this or haven't been able to see like what it's like to actually say it out loud, right? Because there's something here where all of you shared something, all six of us shared something in this space here, right? And none of us spontaneously like exploded. Like we're actually able to use this to continue and continue to deepen our connection. And you'll find in this space, like it's not just what we say, it's the how we do it that actually really like makes the I don't know, creates a transformation. And so I really just want to say thank you. Thank you for not holding back here. I have one more question that I'm going to ask that's going to be more in the space of like, it's gonna feel a little bit like heavier in this space. But I think especially whenever we talk about authenticity, I like to go here because authenticity is very bright and it's like, oh, go for it. Let's go for it. But there's an investment that's made in order to get the return on authenticity. And Polish Peeler, you started highlighting some of the things that showed up like for you, like in terms of what it felt like to actually be in pursuit of the authenticity. And so I'm curious for you all here, just so that like if someone's doing this and they actually are going all in, whether it's in their life or they're saying I'm being more authentic in my business and this is where I'm going. They know that they're not doing it quote unquote wrong. They're not heading down the like the path that's not there. I'm curious about what are some of the investments and costs that you've had to make. I think investments is the right word. Cost is off on this one, but some of the investments that you've had to make in order to like really show up authentic and get the other side of it, because it's great rewards, but it also takes something to do it. I think otherwise more people would do it. Anyone want to take that one on?
I'll keep it short. The investment I had to make and stop making sure I look good. Like avoid looking good, kind of thing. Not avoid looking good, avoid looking bad, right? Just stop, like let go of it. Like it was a lot of letting go. That's the cost and I count on investment at the same time. It's a cost that I had to start letting go of the conversation, letting go of this up here, letting go of like I hated my accent for a long time. I had to let go of that, you know, and so many different things. So letting go, and that freed me up to get back to like bring that authentic self out. You know, that was one thing, and obviously investing in myself, like literally going getting a coach or a mastermind, if that's what you're kind of asking.
Let's keep the ball rolling. Anyone else have anything on this one?
I can jump in on this. I think my investment was self-acceptance and being happy with being me exactly the way I am. And like Polish Peter said, that for me was a physical investment of money in a transformation, as well as a mental investment that I still work on every single day in accepting who I am. So I wake up every morning and remind myself that I am great as I am, and I do not need to change for anybody because who I am is perfect.
I love that. I'm jumping in there because like I felt like my first wife accepted who I was. My wife now celebrates who I am. So changing that self-acceptance to self-celebration is such a shift. And I think for me, the investment I had to make was keeping promises to myself. One of the definitions I heard was self-esteem defined as keeping promises to yourself. I'm really good about keeping meetings, keeping promises to other people, but sometimes the person who suffers is me. And I asked my wife on a regular basis, if you could change anything about me, would you, or what would you change? And like, I got no for years. And then one day she goes, I would change one thing. And I'm like, whoa, because we do it on our walk. And I'm like, what would you change? She goes, I would change how much you care about others, because sometimes you care so much about others that you don't care for yourself or take care of yourself. And so that was the investment, is really start to put my mask on first, or whatever, like not that mask, but like the breathing mask or the self-care mask in that space.
Love that. Love that. For me, it was being willing to throw it all out at the window and really face that biggest fear. In my first business, when I just like ditched my software career, moved to Spain, started a sewing business to let my creative side out. And I really worked hard to build that business out of nowhere in a different country, didn't know anyone, wasn't even a professional like seamstress. So it was just literally the crazy idea, and worked really hard to build this up. And one thing I didn't know was that I actually could choose clients. So there was always like, okay, I'm providing a service, so whoever comes, I need to kind of give them what they want, and burned out in the process. And the whole time I didn't feel I could say no to things because, oh my God, if they get upset and then they're going to not order again, and then they're going to tell everybody about it, and then I'll be out of business and I'll be hungry in the street. That was my story for like many years, that really got me into like really burned out, until it hit that breaking point where I'm like, okay, not one step further. And I'm willing to throw the entire 10, 12 years out the window. I no longer care. And it wasn't an easy thing to do, because it was so much like I was so clinging to what I'd built that it wasn't easy to let go. But it got to the point that it was like not enough. And in hindsight, boy, that was the biggest gift, because that's when I got to see that the whole pressure I was under all these years was actually a self-created story. And everything literally changed from there. It was literally facing these biggest fears. And you can say, well, an investment of 10 years that I'm like grateful for in hindsight, but boy, it wasn't fun at the time. So, but literally being willing to throw it all out the window and start again.
I can kind of end it on that. Definitely with the throwing it all out the window. So for me, it was leaving my corporate job. I was I was coming back online as myself. Simultaneously, I was still working full time for the federal government. And for a very long time, for many, many years, while I was getting to the point of accepting the fact that this was the true path and the thing to do to really kind of cut the cord completely to be my full self all the time was to leave that job. And so when I left that job, I was able to truly be myself and who I am authentically all the time. Because for 40 hours a week or more every single week, year after year, it took about 3 years for me to really get there to leaving. I had hide who I was. And that was just soul crushing every day, in and out. There's nobody there really, except for one or two people that I actually talked to about anything that I was doing or studying or anything. So it was just kind of walking both paths for as long as I could take it until finally just taking the leap and closing that chapter, which was tremendously hard to do at the time. Similar and but also so grateful on the other side of it, even though this path has also been incredibly challenging. I wouldn't give anything up.
Thank you all. Thank you all for playing here. Thanks for like keeping it real. Like the reason I asked is that for years I would go out there and I would hear like all the best advice on like how to be you. And I was like, why am I struggling with this? What makes it so hard? And so I think in a way like just normalizing like, hey, by the way, there's like it isn't just a switch to flip. There's something that comes with it. Or it is a switch to flip, but just so you know, once you turn on the light, you get to see all the things that also are there. It means the world to me. So thank you here. We're gonna start wrapping up the conversation. The way that I want to do it today, I want to get into your edges. And the way I'm gonna look at your edges is like what you're building, what you're creating going forward. So why don't we do this? I think I'm going to play with this in real time, but I think the way I like to do this is for us to do twofold. It's going to be a two-part question. Part one, what's something in your world right now that like you're incredibly excited for that has you on your edge? It's a goal that you're creating, a project that you're doing, a teammate you're bringing, whatever it is. What's something that is causing you to have to like go to your next level and is bringing you to the edge of your comfort zone? What are you creating that's there? And then with that, right afterwards, right after you tell us, I would love for you to share with outliers how they can go deeper down the journey with you, potentially either joining you on that, or if there's anything else that they heard in this conversation, they're like, I want to like know more about your world or like and so forth. They can do that. We all have a lot of different platforms. So my ask is that you let us know like where's the highest leverage points, one or two places to go there. So what's keeping you on your edge right now? I have a manager who just sent me a text message actually from the past, but she used to talk about sweaty palms. And so what's giving you sweaty palms right now? And then what's the best way that we can continue down the journey with you? This one I'll actually like call everyone in. That way we can just do it in order. So Polish Peter, let's start off with you.
Well, what's keeping me on the edge right now? I am literally in the midst of releasing my brand new book, and it's called Authentic Self Rebirth. The entire book basically helps people uncover who their true authenticity is. So there's two big parts in there. One is awakening, because I think most of us are asleep with what we actually know to our true authenticity is. And then there's the rebirth part. So that's what I am all about. I want to transform humanity from the perspective of getting back us to the authenticity, because we've been told what should be and shouldn't be, right? The way you can do that, I have a whole bunch of bonuses that people can. That's how they can follow me. You can go to myauthenticrebirth.com. And I'm on Instagram sharing a lot of the videos. And the Instagram handle is Authentic Self Rebirth. And I would love to connect with anybody and see if I can support you in some way and then give you some insight. So thank you for this platform. I appreciate it.
Thank you for showing up so fully here, Polish Peter. And I even just love the fact that like it's Polish Peter. And it's like I asked beforehand, I'm like, is it Peter? Was that? She's like, no, you know what? It's Polish Peter. Like I love that. Like you just own it. It's in the demonstration from the very first time we get to see you. It's super
That's my
congruent.
true authentic self, Polish Peter, right? Own it.
Yeah. Well played. Well played. Let's get to you, Ursula. Share with us like what's something you're doing that's giving you sweaty palms, and what's the best way we can dive deeper with you.
So the sweaty palms right now are coming from as I closed the door on my business at the end of last year. and returned to Ursula Alchemy. Simultaneously now watching others in my community kind of embrace and embody the same vision that I just kind of closed that door on. So I live in Atlantic City, and the original vision for this town was for it to be a healing resort and a healing destination. There was a doctor that actually founded this town called Dr. Jonathan Pittman. So one by one, I'm seeing other people now kind of wake up to the fact that that was the original vision for this place. So I'm just here like, okay, I've tried that. Like that first chapter of it didn't really pan out, but now there's others in the community having the same wake up call. So I'm just kind of reaching out to them slowly but surely and just seeing how we can combine efforts to make that happen. It's a tremendous undertaking, but that is the original vision. So that is the sweaty palm thing. And then the main hub for everything for me is my website. It's ursaalchemy.com. That's URSAALCHEMY. And secondary is Substack. So my Substack is called Looking Up and On Wonder, but you can just put in Ursula Alchemy on there also and you can find it. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you. Cliff, why don't we come to you?
All right. So Sweaty Palms right now, our goal is to open up 20 clinics in the next 2 or 3 years. We're at 7. We're going to open up by 10 by the end of this year. So that's my Sweaty Palms in that space. If you wanted to work with me in that space, it's more around Dream Leader Institute. If you want to have that conversation, so you can go to our website, put that in. And also, I'm happy to give my cell phone 775-843-6098. If you just have a question, just on business in general, or how to, sell, exit. I've sold businesses, I bought businesses. So a lot of experience in that for entrepreneurs in that space. Thank you.
Thank you, Cliff. Thank you for playing. Leah, let's come to you.
I would say my sweaty palm thing at the moment is I'm completely reinventing my business kind of brand, I would say. And I'm coming out more as me rather than the corporate version of me that I was when I first started the business 3 years ago. So I'm having a whole complete and utter rebrand. I'm creating a new program and I'm showing up more as me when I'm going places. So I'm not hiding behind the masks or the facades anymore. I'm just showing up, and that's the sweaty palm bit, because I'm actually showing everybody who I actually really am. The person I am when I'm in my own home, they're seeing the same person when they see me out and about. And in terms of kind of following me and finding out what's going on with this new package, I'm mainly on LinkedIn. So just Leah Crowfoot. So that's CROWFOOT. So the bird and the foot at the end of your leg. On LinkedIn, that's where I am on all of the social medias, but I'm focusing on LinkedIn at the moment.
Thank you. And Anke, why don't you bring us home on this one?
Well, the exciting piece is a new format I'm implementing to be able to serve more clients without using all of my time and still having that high touch, like really close connection. But the sweaty palm thing, the really exciting thing is like I've been having a second book brewing for a long time. And with that shift into the dog space, it's becoming like really clear. I know the title, it's going to be The Dog by My Feet. And it's going to be how to build a business where you can live the way you want to live. And for me, that was always from the very first second to be able to have my dog by my feet. So I'm getting really clear, like, oh, this is how I want to structure, this is what I want to say, and this is how I want to say it. So that's the sweaty palm piece. So if you want to find out more about me, my website is ankeherrmann.com. That's ANKEHERRMANN.com. And if you love dogs, go to soultouchedbydogs.com. We're also on Substack for the dog stuff. So that's me.
Y'all are incredible. Y'all are absolutely incredible. We have one more question that actually wraps this whole thing up here, but I wanted to make sure before we got to that, Outliers knew how they can continue with you. And Outliers, like, here's the thing. If you've gotten value from this, and actually it's more than that. My ask is this: if there's someone in your world right now who would benefit from hearing the conversation that was just had here, my ask that you go and you share this episode with them. There's some element of like being able to share this out broadly on your socials and such, like please feel free to do that. But I do look at these conversations as an opportunity to be a gift and a tool for people's transformation and growth. And my ask is that if there's someone that comes to mind where you're like, hey, you should really hear what was being said here. It really like matches what we were talking about or what you've been saying you've been looking for. I think that's where all of us get to really make an impact here. And so we ask that you just go and share it with someone with intention, and let them know you're thinking of them. It means the world to me. So we wrap up our conversation here with this. I like to go to each person and just see. We'll put our outsides away. Like we're not worried about like helping the outliers right now. What we'd like to do is just like for us to close our space here. What's an insight that you got from this conversation? What's something that you are taking away as a result of this conversation here? We'll go to everyone, and then we'll use that to wrap up to end our conversation here. All right. And if you didn't get a takeaway, don't feel like you need to. You can just be like, oh no, it was a good time. Then you can say that too. All right. All right, cool. We'll go in reverse order. So Anke, let's start with you. I shouldn't have said that because I don't remember the order.
The thing that really jumps to mind for me is how quickly there can be a connection. You know, like in this hour, like everyone in the room, it feels like, oh my God, we've known each other forever. Like there's that, we have so much in common, even though we do really different things. And it really, I would love to keep in touch with everyone, you know, individually, because it just has, that space has created so much connection. And to see that, yeah, we may be kind of outliers and sometimes feel we don't fit in, but boy, there's a lot of us, right? And that feels really good. So thank you for creating that space and inviting us. It's really, I really appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. Leah, how about you?
I'd say for me, it's pretty much the same as Anke, is the fact that I'm not alone. I'm not alone on this journey, and there are other people on this journey with me. It's just all of our journeys are completely different, but also exactly the same. And that's the kind of duality of it all, is the fact that we're all on a journey. Every journey is completely different, but we are all experiencing the same sort of things on that journey. And I think that's what I think, Anke, is what brings us all together, is that we can recognize that we're all on a journey.
Thank you so much. Cliff, how about you? You're muted right now.
I agree. I think finding our tribe is such a critical space. And, you know, I think as entrepreneurs, you know, if you're in that top 3%, like it's a lonely space. And, you know, one of my favorite quotes is do today what most people won't, so tomorrow you can do what most people can't. And so as we go through this, I think it's that internal fortitude that allows us to, you know, be alone, be on that mountaintop. But then when you see other people on, you know, mountains around you, it's like, oh, cool, I'm not by myself. And it is lonely at the top. And I tell my doctors and leaders, you know, how important that is. And so I think just finding your tribe. And I know this wasn't the question, but the one most valuable thing that I've done in my whole life is at dinner time, my wife and I started this with our kids, but we ask, what was your win today? And what do you want your win to be tomorrow? And that, like, as far as a transformational thing and changing the dinner table conversation and getting to know your family and kids and people that are important to you. And we thought when our kids moved out, we'd stop that question. And my wife and I, that's our first question. We sit right down to dinner. What was your win today? What do you want your win to be tomorrow? And so I know that has nothing to do with anything we talked about, but if that just one thing got out to, you know, people, that'd be amazing.
That's awesome. Ursula?
That there are other people in the world that are uncompromisingly walking their true path. So I'm so grateful for this whole conversation, this whole space, and for saying yes to the email. And just everyone's embodying my favorite quote, which is young, and it's the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And you are just so beautifully walking that path and embodying it. Just, it makes my heart sing.
Thank you, Ursula. Polish Peter, take us home on this one. We'll end for today.
All right. Well, I would just say one more: vulnerability. I think the vulnerability is the connection between all of us here, human beings. And I think the more we do this, the more we connect, the more we see how we're not that much different, then we can actually be able to step on and do this thing, authenticity, all those kinds of conversations. So I'm grateful for this conversation. And yeah, go and do that kind of stuff in life and see how it starts to transform in your life, I think.
Here we go. Outliers, this is for you. Until the next time we talk, be you on purpose. Journey on.